Zurich. So first of all, I wanted to do an introduction about who is Zurich. Basically, for the ones who may not know the brand, it's an insurance company that probably you don't know, but it was built in, it was founded in 1872. So it has more than 140 years of life, this company. So currently there are like around 50,000 employees worldwide. And the company offers insurance products from life insurance to property to casualty. And currently operates in more than 200 countries and territories. So the customers for Zurich are from individuals to multinationals to small businesses. So basically taking a wide range of users, customers. So I belong to a center that is called Big Data Delivery Center that is located here in Barcelona. And this center belongs to what we call Service Zurich. And Service Zurich basically is Service Zurich basically is a technology delivery center that aims at giving technology to Zurich worldwide. Okay? So basically, what Service Zurich was founded in 2006 because they saw the need that we needed to get stronger IT capabilities. Okay? Then Service Zurich was built as a strategic IT partner for the whole Zurich worldwide, and we are offering basically IT share capabilities. So we are located here in the technology district from Barcelona, so near Poblenou. And basically there are around 350 people working from 30 different nationalities. I'm the director of the Big Data Delivery Center inside Service Zurich. And basically what we offer is big data services to internal Zurich customers. So we don't work outside Zurich. So basically our only customers are our business units and our group functions. We belong to an organization that is called Enterprise Data Analytics and Architecture, which is basically a global organization that wants to provide data solutions to Zurich. We are focusing in improving what we call the analytics maturity. So basically, as you probably know, an insurance company, the main goal is to be able to give to predict the risk of insuring a company or a person. And basically, since already the year where it was founded in the 19th century, the basic goal was to be able to predict the risk, do models and be able to predict the risk. So this is why we find it so important that we offer better analytic capabilities to our company in order to do better the job. Not only to be able to assess better the risk, but also to be able to give the right price for the products based on the data we have been gathering. We have an international team of big data platform engineers, data scientists, solution architects, developers, and project managers that we are just focusing in giving these new data analytics capabilities to the company. Okay? Okay. So, enterprise data architecture and analytics. So this is really the global organization where we belong in the Big Data Delivery Center. And basically, what we have here is like around 200 data engineers or data professionals working with the different countries from Zurich worldwide to be able to deliver what they need. So before the Big Data Delivery Center was created, these people were working mainly in data governance, data modeling, working a lot with data warehouses, so what we call the traditional business intelligence systems. And then we appear in order to enhance the capabilities of this organization and being able to offer what we thought was the new capabilities needed, which was dealing really with other types of data, not only structured data, but trying to give new sources of information that could be valuable for our company. And now I'm going back to the title of the presentation, which is Building an Enterprise Data Lake. So there was a point in time in 2015 that Zurich realizes that they wanted to have a way to be able to work with data coming from different countries. And what they faced was that actually the information was a little fragmented in the company, and they were not really able to gather the information and being able to understand, compare how the different business were working. So then it came the idea of having a data lake. A data lake thought as a repository of all valuable information that the company had. There is a lot of information that the company has, but this information had never been consolidated in a unique area to be able to work and process it. This was really the goal when, in 2015, Zurich started to think about having a data lake. We wanted to have this central repository, keeping not only process data, because before a lot of data was kept in data warehouses that was already processed, but also they wanted to have the original data, exactly copy of the raw data that was available, to be able to actually go back in the analysis, meaning we had data that had been processed and it was used for doing some kind of analytics, but actually sometimes these analytics wanted to be different, and they could not because actually the data had been prepared really in a certain format. So they decided that they really needed a place where they will have all the information, not only the process one, but really also the raw and source information. And then, of course, the idea will be to have this lake, then have a lot of different layers processing this data for different tasks. That could be reporting, visualization, as it was being done in the past with business intelligence tool, but also to do more analytics or more machine learning algorithms. But why does Zurich need a data lake? I already gave a little spoiler before, but the main reasons were the silos. Probably you have worked in a multinational company before, and you have seen that sometimes it seems that we are different companies. Inside a big company, they are like different companies. So this is what happened in Zurich, that we had a lot of business units doing their work, and sometimes not really sharing what they had or what they had achieved. And then we wanted to find a way to break these silos of information, because we had mainly two kinds of silos. The technological silos, when someone had did an application, and it was just an application, vertical application, getting the information needed and creating the result, and nobody else in the company had access to this data. And also we had department silos, which were like a department that was not really sharing the data. So this was actually the main goal when the data lake was the first idea when it came to creating a data lake. The second one was that there was growing and growing new data that was available, that it was identified to be useful for the business, and it was not anymore the structured data that they had been used in the past. So in the traditional business intelligence systems that we had relational databases, we had SQL servers, we had data warehouses, we had everything there prepared. But when we started getting new projects and starting to think about Internet of Things, or about thinking about telematics and how to get information for the telematics for the cars, for example, for motor insurance, we were seeing that we could not really use some of the systems we were already having. So this is when we started to see the need of bringing structure and unstructured data together to do analytics on both. And here, it was not so easy to try to use already available systems in the company. And here it was when suddenly people start saying, well, what about these big data technologies that are appearing, even if they are open source, even if it's not what we are used to, maybe we should try to go to these technologies and try to see if we can really achieve a place or a platform that it will be able to process the data, structured, non-structured, in the same place at the same time. Another of the reasons why, and actually this is really our target, was that if we have a lake, we will be able to have, hopefully in the future, most of our valuable data together, and we will be able to do really the big data analytics. And why we call it big data analytics, we can also call it data science, we can call it whatever you want, but basically it's the idea of going from the traditional analytics, maybe use in the best case SAS, to bring some other ways of introducing machine learning techniques that could be really configured, could be really studied, and could be really programmed by our own people. And now I'm going to present you what is our current data lake. First of all, I have to say that we started this in end of 2015, and actually we started really setting up our lake in 2016. So basically, it has less than 2 years. But what we have achieved so far was to explain our company when they should go to us to the lake. So the first thing we tried to convince everybody in the company, it was the need of having this lake. And then we use what you probably see in internet when you look about big data, that they are the 3 Bs, sometimes the 4 Bs, sometimes the 7 Bs. We make it simple. We show our company that there are 3 main reasons why maybe they should think of going to a lake and go from their traditional business intelligence systems to our platform. And the reason was volume. We saw a lot of countries or a lot of BUs, business units, having the problems that they were starting to have terabytes of data, and then they were not able to process them in a reasonable time in a traditional system. Another reason why we offered the lake was because of speed. We started to have projects that were related to IoT, and they needed the data almost in real time. So they needed kind of streaming. And also, the systems we had at that moment were not really having the possibility to ingest the data. The third reason that we saw why we should have the data lake in Zurich was because the variety of the data. Before, we also had some kind of variety of data, but it was not being really used. What it was being used was taking this data and was just like getting the processed data, so getting really the information needed and put it in a structured way. So what we say is, why don't we keep everything? Why won't you try to have a platform where you could be able to also put image if you have, for example, a claim and you want to send a picture of how the car finished? So we need a place where we can also keep everything and not just in some server, in some folder, shared folder between a department. We want to have a central place where we can analyze and maybe we can learn how we should handle the claims in the future. And this is why we started also offering the lake for this. So, what we offer. So what I was saying, based on the 3 Bs, what we tell our internal customers in Zurich why they should come to us, we say that you need a big data service if you need to process big volumes of data. As I said, when your system cannot handle anymore what you're having. When you want to have unstructured data, if you're starting, for example, we had in marketing some projects starting with social media, and they wanted to start getting information from the social networks like Facebook, Twitter, and they wanted to be able to process the information. Well, maybe you can think about using our platform, or also something that sometimes it was difficult for them to handle, which was information coming in XML format, like, for example, the offers. Probably you have seen in internet the aggregators like Rastreator in Spain, where you can compare a lot of companies, insurance companies, about a product, about, for example, I want my insurance for my car. So we wanted to be able also to keep all the information or the offers that we were sending, even if it was through aggregators on our own. Then we had this, what we call this semi-structured data. We had offers that sometimes had different format, they didn't have exactly the same fields, or we had JSON files. So we wanted to have a place where to process and to store that. Then, what I was saying before, the near real-time or real-time capabilities, this because IoT start to be a topic for us in Zurich. And at the end, our aim was to really go on what we call data science, which is basically doing advanced analytics, trying to get more out of the data we are having. And this is, in a very high level, how it looks our data lake today. So what we are having is, like I put the typical process, the ingestion process, where we get all the types of different data that the company wants to analyze. As I said before, it can be from a lot of different sources. We have ingestion from traditional systems, database, like structured relational databases. We have files, because probably, as you know, as a company like Zurich has a lot of paper, like a lot of PDFs that our underwriters and our risk analysis people use. So we wanted to digitalize everything and have it together. Also, social media, that is now for marketing something that I'm really interested in, and also whatever type of semi-structured data. And then we selected the Hortonworks, so the Hortonworks data platform, and we ingest this in our system. Then we have a lot of interaction with traditional systems like our data warehouses, DB2. We have SQL Server as well in the company. Also, a lot of information, especially from finance, is in SAP. And then also we have some innovation projects that are working on the cloud. And basically, what we are doing is we are offering the processes engine, not only the repository, but also the processing engine, to be able to give either applications, like there are some very specific applications for insurance, also consumption tools, a way for the people to visualize the results. So if it can be MicroStrategy, Tableau, whatever visualization tool that is actually being used in the company. And also, we wanted to introduce the last part, which is try to link it with the traditional analytics. Try to give a little more power to the people working in analytics, and also now that we are having more and more the data science profiles in the company. So currently what we have, the platform we have, is, has around 70 servers, so we are still starting. We have around 1.5 petabytes of storage. We have more than 10 terabytes of RAM and more than 2,000 cores. And we have a dedicated high-speed network for connecting that. What are the main technologies on our projects? So basically, the main technologies that we are using in our projects are, of course, the Horton Stack, because this is what we choose as our platform. And we have all the projects that we are doing them in Scala. So we are using Spark, and we are programming, the development team we have are programming in Scala. And we are also using other types of technologies, like, of course, we have Horton Words, our data, it's in the HDFS. And we are also working with some NoSQL databases like HBase. And we are having also the typical for development. We use Bitbucket, or we use Maven for the software build. So this is mainly the current technologies that we are using on our projects. And now I want to talk about the challenge to set up this. So I explained very rough what we set up and what were the main challenges. The main challenges were not so much technical, but more related to the organization and what we had in the organization. So the reason being is because, as I said before, Zurich is an insurance company, and an insurance company that has more than 140 years. So it has evolved quite a lot, and we have a very strong IT department, but a strong IT department used to business intelligence, used to data warehouses. Very good, very professional on that, but used to this kind of technologies. And when we arrived, what we saw is that we needed to find the knowledge. So big data was completely new for the company. And especially thinking that big data technologies has a lot of open source. Open source was not very well seen by our traditional IT department. And what we had to do at this moment is, it was started like a hybrid team, like trying to retrieve knowledge, trying to get new profiles with the knowledge on big data, and also being helped by a consultancy company, because at that point in time, we didn't really have the expertise. There was a big bet on building an internal team about big data, because Zurich wanted to own the lake. And the reason why we wanted to own the lake was because there was supposed to come the most important information and valuable from the company. So it was okay to have a consultant team helping us to set up, to build the capabilities, to help us even recruit some of the people that we were working, but we wanted that this asset will be really on the company. And this is how we started. There was a contract done with a consultancy company. We started looking for the right profiles, and we started building our data lake. But the first challenge we had is that when people think about insurance company, they think about that. They think that, you have to be wearing a suit, you have to come with a tie, if not, you will not enter the door. And this was for us really one of the biggest problems to get really the profiles. So people thought that we will not be interested enough, or we will not be doing challenges. Everybody was more thinking, I want to work in a startup, and Zurich, a company with 140 years, what I'm going to do there? Actually, it's funny because I thought the same when they approached me, and I was like, what am I going to do in an insurance company? So, but actually, what they had in mind, the people who started this, that they wanted to have completely fresh air. They wanted to have completely different profiles that they were in the company. We had, of course, the insurance profiles. We have, of course, the traditional business intelligence profiles, but we wanted to break that. We wanted to have a little, like a change in mentality on the company. This also came because the company wanted to get more digitalized, wanted to be like seen more modern. They wanted to, show the world that even if it has 140 years of history, the company really wants to go on new technologies. And then little by little, we start creating the team that we have currently in Zurich. So most of the people we are having in this big data delivery center are solution architects, are developers, working mainly in Scala, data scientists, working together with the business units, trying to understand what is really the problems and trying to show that there is something more than SaaS, that things can be actually implemented, that there are really machine learning algorithms that can work for us as well, even if they are not black boxes, that we can tune them. And then platform engineers that have to deal daily with our more traditional IT departments that are seeing sometimes things a little different than ourselves. And this is more or less the areas of expertise I was saying. So we have a group of data scientists, a group of solution architecture, a big group of development and platform, which actually the platform is our core. And then we are having the traditional roles like program and project management, business analyst, or application support or service management. Because at the end, what we have is applications that are already delivering value to the business. So we are currently having more or less like 10 different applications running on our platform that are for Germany, are for the UK, are also for Switzerland. So basically, what we are trying to build in these 2 years was a set of applications that will be an example for the company so that more and more people will be interested in bringing the data to the lake. Now let me explain a little more about the technical challenges. The first challenge we had, and it's funny because when we were having lunch, we were discussing about that, was about choosing open source or going for the proprietary software. As you can imagine, a company like Zurich was used to proprietary software. So we had a provider, the provider was going to give us a good solution, we will have a super good support, and we will not have problems. So when it was clear that big data technologies came with open source, there was some fear. The reason being is because they thought that maybe they will not get as good support as they will get it from a proprietary software, which I think is completely wrong, and we are actually showing that it's completely wrong. But this was one of the big fears. So we choose actually the path of the open source. It's true that we're still having some things that are proprietary, but actually with the choice of Horton words, we went more for an open source solution. The only thing is what I was saying. I mean, we had to convince a lot the company how we are going to go to open source, but the company was not used to go to open source. So they saw it as a fragile. They thought our platform were not going to be stable, that if there will be a problem, then maybe nobody will be able to fix it. And what we try to convince them is that we will have to pay, of course, like we are paying other providers, but we will have to pay for this support. We are having, for example, with Horton Words, a contract with them for support so that we are for sure that if there is a problem, it will be money invested to solve the problem, not only for us, but of course for the whole community. But we will get this support. We are also starting, little by little, also, or sometimes on contributing on that, because we want it to be alive. We want that actually the platform will be as stable and will evolve as much as possible. And this is how looks like the Horton Words stack. And this is mainly what we are having out of the box. And we have already in the Horton Words stack most of the things we need for our daily work. So we have the part of data governance, like for example with Atlas to deal with metadata. We have the part of data workflow where we use Scoop a lot because we have a lot of information that are coming from traditional systems. We use Kafka because we are having some already use cases of real-time ingestion. And of course we have other tools like Wave HDFS. Our basis, our data management, is the Hadoop distributed file system, the HDFS. And then we are having also other tools that we are using, in the part of the data access. We use a lot Spark, because we process everything in Scala. We also use sometimes Hive. We have also quite some connections with traditional business intelligence tool, like for example, the DB2 big SQL. And we are using, of course, the notebooks, Zeppelin. Our data scientists are working on Zeppelin. And also they are quite using the Ambari user views. Then, very important, security. At the end, the information we have is really critical in terms of personal data. So we have quite a lot of control on the authentication, authorization, and administration of the users. So for this, Horton Works offers us Ranger and Knox, and we are really using this deeply. And then for operations, we need to monitor. We have some critical applications running on the lake, so basically customer facing, and therefore we need to have a very good control of what is happening on the platform. So basically for this, we have Ambari and also Zookeeper. And then for scheduling, we are using Uzi, and sometimes also one tool that is not here, which is called Airflow. But the problem is, we said we want to open source, we go to Hortonworks, and we choose a brand, then we have a lot of things. Yes, but not everything is out of the box. So we still need to go really and be picking from the big data landscape the tools we need. And this is what is really hard. And the reason why it's very hard, because we have to be sure that what we pick is not going to be deprecated in 6 months or 1 year. And this is really the challenge that we are facing. Of course, part of these tool sets, some of them are proprietary, and we are not closing that we will not go sometimes for certain things in a proprietary. But the amazing thing is sometimes the most difficult part is understanding really the tools, because in the best cases they overlap, or sometimes 2 different tools do exactly the same, but in a different fancy way. So we need really, here is where we really have to be working quite hard to try to understand what is the best to include in our platform. The approach we did is that we are not creating everything that could be ever needed in a data lake. What we are growing is little by little based on the projects. We have a need, a BU come to us and say, well, I want this application to be built, and then we check, do we have it on our platform? Do we need to include something else? And then we start analyzing what we need. So we had the basics, and then we grow from it. Because if we try to build whatever capabilities is possible on the lake, we will completely be unsuccessful. Okay, and this is, as I said, the main things we are using. And if you see here, you will see many things are all open source, but of course we are still having certain things that are proprietary, like Informatica. The reason being is because in the company, we have users that are used to certain tools. If these tools starts having big data capabilities, the first thing we have is people at our desk saying, why would we use this tool that now has also the big data plugin? And this is something that is being hard, that is causing sometimes a lot of problems for us, but we also have to understand that if you have already certain users that are used to certain kind of tools, we also have to offer this support. Even though if our always first choice and the team will always be working in Scala, we still have sometimes other people from the company that want to use our lake, they want to do their stuff, and they will not start programming in Scala. So we have to deal, and we have to find a trade-off on offering what they need and also what they are used to. Another big challenge is the coexistence with traditional BI. When we started doing this, there was the fear that we were going to say, forget about your BI and do everything in big data. This was not our approach. We know that we have already mature business intelligence systems that should not be replaced because they are already offering a very good solution for our company. So what we tried here was to explain also what is business intelligence doing, what we have currently on the company, especially data warehouses, and then what we could do with big data. And of course, we always show that there is an overlap. But this overlap doesn't mean that they cannot coexist together. So basically, what we said was, okay, So you have this, and if you have a system that is working fine for you, you don't have any problem, we are not asking you to change. We may ask you maybe to give some of your valuable data also to the lake so that other people can also create applications. But I mean, we don't want to replace everything that is in the company because it will be impossible. What we are saying is that, okay, you have your structured data in this kind of business traditional systems, fine with us. We can help you if you need, for example, things like my DB2 is becoming increasingly expensive because I'm keeping all the historical data for the last, I don't know, 50 years. Okay. So then maybe you could think of offloading the historical data and also the current one so that people also can try to do other analytics or other studies, but we are not telling you have to replace completely your system. Then, if you have the big data, they can coexist together, and sometimes in our reference architectures, what we do is say, okay, we will process the information of the big data, and the results, if you need them in your data warehouse, we'll be happy to send it to you. So what we are trying to do is like, we can live together, we can coexist together. So you will have information and reporting, traditional reporting that you will have in your old systems, and then in our new system, you can do more stuff, and then you can decide either you want to give it back to the system or create another application out of the lake. I stole this from internet. I mean, I like this a lot because for me it was very easy to explain this to the different business units. I was trying to explain a little the change of mindset if they wanted to start to use the lake. Okay? If you want to start using the lake, you have to change a little the mindset. So what was used in Zurich was the first part, what we call the traditional BI or the traditional approach. Structure and repeatable analysis. So basically, we had business users who were studying exactly which questions they wanted to get answered from the data. Then they were asking the IT department, please structure this in your systems so that you can give me these answers. And then they were creating reports, they were creating whatever it was needed. Okay, I have to speed up. But then in the case of the big data approach, what we said it was, okay, no, we want you to change your mind. Keep all the data in our system that you think is going to be useful for you. Okay, so we will put everything there. You don't have to think how we should structure. Let's put it as it is and how it was obtained. And then whenever you need it, we can start creating the layers. Layers with structured data or just processing layers so that you can answer questions that you didn't know you could have. So it's a completely different mindset. And this is what it's being more hard to explain to the customers, that they can have the data there and then they can learn what they can ask to the data. So this is something that at the beginning was pretty hard, and nowadays people are trying to understand and they start seeing the usage of that. Because on the traditional systems, when they wanted to change maybe that report or the question they were answering, then they had to go back, look for the data, structure again, and put it in the system. While we said this will not be needed in our case. Next challenge, production needs. At the end, what we want is, we have a lot of POCs, we have a lot of analytics, and we have a lot of people working with the data. But what we need is to, at the end, have an application running that will have underwriters, that will have for the people working with claims, so that they can be faster. And this is why we had to offer a productive system that will be easy and automated in order to bring the applications live. So go fast from a POC to a real application. So we had to offer a good development chain so that they could do all the steps. They could start with development, pass to the integration test, go to the user acceptance test, and you always go to production. And then we had to give high availability because most of our applications need to be 24/7 working. So they need to be always alive. We needed to offer disaster recovery because in the case one of the data centers goes down, we really need to be able to still having Zurich on business. And then we had a lot of effort to try to define which were the SLAs, the level of service that were needed, and support them and automate as much as possible. Another point, which was very important for us, was regarding security. We need to be sure that we can trace whatever access of the information. We have to trace who has the rights, and we have to, Zurich has a very strong process of securitization of everything that is in the data lake, meaning that we have to do also a lot of paperwork to prove that what we have there is only used for what it's supposed to use. Especially now, since it took the GDPR, so the laws are getting more strict and strict. But Zurich had always done that. So here is why it was really key for us to be able to say that even with open source, we could have this kind of platform security. And the last topic that it's a challenge, and it's a challenge now, and it's where we are in discussions, is how we grow. We started on-premise. It was not an easy way to start because basically the hardware, a multinational company usually has already some contracts in the hardware you can get. And we wanted always to have something different, so it was a little fight there, but we got our leg working on premises. But now the question is, if we want to grow, maybe we need to go on the cloud, because a lot of the processes we are having sometimes needs to run with a lot of resources for a very short time until the algorithm is finished, and then actually we don't need all this capacity. So we see really that the cloud could be a good way for us to go forward. The only problem is that nowadays we see that we will still need an hybrid solution. And this is where we are now. Our challenge now is how we grow. Are we going still to bet for the hardware, or are we going to go to cloud? And going to cloud is not just only going to cloud. I mean, we are analyzing if we should go from IaaS, PaaS, or even SaaS. To be completely honest, we are more on the first two. But basically what we are trying to see is how we bring what we already have in a cloud environment, if we can really go there based on the constraints we are having from security, and what is going to be the best way of doing it. Because if you ask my platform engineers, they will go to IaaS because they can control everything. But PaaS has also its charms depending on which parts of the system. So right now, our thoughts are more to go into an hybrid solution between IaaS and PaaS. And at the end, our goal is just to get business value. So what we want is to bring data science on the company. We have analytics, but we want to go to advanced analytics. And for going advanced analytics, we think we need to get a little more professional tools, and we think really we have to go to, let's say, more programming language or developing profiles than it was before on the company. And that was all. I think I'm already over my time. Sorry for that.